Yo, what's going on everyone? This is Austin from Calling Our Shot, and in today's Betting 101 Tips and Tricks video, we're talking about placing good value bets. So, like I said, this is episode 4 of our Betting 101 Tips and Tricks videos. We post this series every single Wednesday, every single week. Episode 1, we talked about bankroll management, unit sizing, and hedging. Episode 2, we talked about how to make a winning parlay. And episode 3, last week, we talked about how to research and find winning bets. If you want to check out any of those 3 videos, feel free to click the link down below in the description, or they'll be linked at the end of the video, so check those out. If you're new to the channel, feel free to click that subscribe button. You get to see our weekly betting tips and tricks video, as well as our daily betting picks ranging from NBA and MLB to NFL and college football, you name it. You'll get to see those videos every single day. So click that subscribe button down below. And to all my OG subscribers, the people that have been here for a while, click that like button. Let's keep growing this channel and reaching as many people as possible. But without further ado, let's get into today's topic: placing good value bets. So in today's video, we're gonna talk about a lot. We're gonna talk about risk versus reward, when to bet spreads versus money lines. But first, we need to start about how do we identify the word value? In sports betting terms, value is when you find a bet that is paying out winners at a better rate than it should be paying out. So when I say we're looking for good value bets, that is our way of saying we're looking for bets we believe have an edge or a higher profitability. That edge is that we think the probability of that bet hitting is larger than what the sportsbook has set the line at. So now to derive that probability or percent chance of hitting, you want to think of it in simplistic terms. We'll just consider a minus 100 or plus 100 value bet. Well, that would be a 2 value bet for my European fans, 1-to-1 for fractional odds. The sportsbook gives a minus 100 or plus 100, same exact thing, a 50% chance of hitting. That is for every 2 times you place the bet, you should hit it once. So you have a 50% chance of hitting that bet every single night. Now, a bet with a plus 200 odds, or 3 in European, or 2-to-1, that is a 33% chance of hitting, or once out of every 3 times. And I know you didn't come here for a statistics lesson, and that's why I have this table up on the screen, so you can kind of look at the implied probability, look at the different odds, kind of see how the chart flows. And I know some of you are gonna be interested in this, so I've linked the calculator for you down below. It can calculate anything from minus 200, minus 128, minus 155, things like that. You can see the implied probability, and then you can kind of think about your internal math calculator, if you will. Okay, now that we got the boring part out of the way, our math lesson is over. Let's talk about value betting, which is the main topic of today's video. We want to place bets with good value. I can't say it enough, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a good edge, a good value on a bet. And they're bets that we think have a higher probability of hitting than our sportsbook is leading on to assume. So, for example, let's take my New York Knicks, big New York Knicks fan, and let's say they're playing the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Knicks are obviously underdogs, and they're plus 300 odds to win. So the implied probability of them winning is 25%, or 1 out of every 4 games. So if the sportsbook were correct with their plus 300 valuation, that means every 4 games, the Knicks would win 1, and that's what you can see in this table. You can see the Knicks won game 4, and you'll end up breaking even. You'll lose your first $300 on the first couple games, and then you'll make $300 on the last one, break even. So after doing your research, and you're like, you know what? I don't think the Knicks are that bad. I think they can win 2 out of these 4 games. So let's say you think they can win 50% instead of the implied probability of 25%. So you put $100 on each Knicks versus Lakers money line, put it on the Knicks, and you can see they win 2 of those games, and you're making a crisp $400. As opposed to breaking even when they only won 1 out of the 4 games. Now, that might be an extreme example of an edge. Obviously, we assumed that the Knicks would win 50% of the game. The sportsbook only had a 25%. That's double what they expected. And while you probably won't find value like that in everyday player props or spreads or over-unders, things like that, there's still value out there and still edges that can be found. And that's what we're gonna break into next when we're talking about risk versus reward. So let's say you find a great edge. Maybe it's like a 10% edge, 5 to 10%. Maybe Vegas is giving you a line that should hit 55% of the time. You're thinking, nah, that's like a 60%, 65% line. Now we're talking about how many units should we bet when we're talking about a big edge or big value. I am a little hesitant to ever put more than 1 or 1.5 units on a bet. You know, if you have a great advantage or a great edge, feel free to put 2 units, maybe 3 units. And if you're good at it and you find bets with great edges and you're constantly exploiting those, you can be extremely profitable in the long run as you pick and choose your spots. You're not just putting 2 units on every single bet. You're just kind of looking at your best play of the night. You think, you know what, this is like a 75% chance of hitting in Vegas, or sportsbook is only giving it 55. That's like a 20% edge. I think if your research is correct and you do it long enough, you'll be very profitable in the long run. Now, I have to hesitate and I have to say, put a disclaimer. I'm not saying put 10 units on a great value edge bet. That is completely irresponsible, and you probably should check out the bankroll management video, which is linked down below. Check that one out because that one would be very useful. But assuming you've done your research and you're confident in the bet so much that you think there's a higher probability than being suggested by the line, I am comfortable putting 2 units on a line, maybe maximum 3 units. This will naturally transition us into our next topic, when to bet money lines versus spreads. So if you haven't seen my betting tips and tricks video, this is your first one. Here's a spoiler. I'm not a fan of heavy favorites. That being like the Utah Jazz are minus 20-point favorites tonight. Their money line is minus 1250 or minus 2000. I'm not a fan of those whatsoever. I hate putting those in a parlay because one, you're not even going to increase your parlay odds or payout until you're just adding another leg. And so you can check out episode 2, which we talked about how to make a winning parlay, and I went back into this and dove deeper into it. But I'm normally not gonna be betting on a money line favorite that's minus 1,000 or more, hardly even minus 500 or more. I normally stick to money lines about minus 350 at the absolute most, and that's when I'm parlaying them into other picks. Now, you obviously could parlay maybe a couple of the bigger favorites together, but overall, you're really not gonna see too much return. That's why I normally stick away from those high spreads, whether it's 15 plus, 20 plus points, unless I'm betting on the underdog and just hoping and praying. I mean, if you think about it, you're putting money on an underdog's money line. They could be plus 800, plus 1,000 odds. You really don't have to put more than, I don't know, 1/10 of a unit to win back a unit, maybe even 2/10 of a unit, which isn't asking for a lot. And then if that underdog, maybe the Thunder start out really well, they're leading after the first quarter, you can easily reverse hedge and probably get a guaranteed profit on that Utah Jazz money line for this example. So if I haven't said it enough, I don't love high money line favorites. And it's because I'm not betting on them single. Like you're talking about if a minus 1,000 favorite, if I'm just betting on that straight up, you'd have to put so much money to even win back anything substantial, even to win back just a half a unit or even a third of a unit. You'd have to put way more than a unit's worth of money, and it's just not worth it in my opinion. As we have seen time and time again, especially in the NBA, nothing is a lock. Any team can win any given night. The closest thing to a sure thing is a Russell Westbrook triple-double. I mean, the man is insane. But all joking aside, oftentimes the best value in these 20-point, 17-point spread games can often be on the underdog. I mean, all it takes is the underdog to start out well, be leading for a little bit or a little portion of the game, and then you can easily hedge or live bet on the other side and guarantee you some profit. Now, we could talk for days and days about live betting and hedging, but we don't really have a lot of time for that. But maybe we can talk about that in a betting tips and tricks video in the future, which leads me into my final point of the day. What do you guys want to see next week? You know, we've talked about value betting, risk versus reward, bankroll management, building parlays, researching and finding good bets, and so on and so on. What do you guys want to see next week? Leave them in the comments below, and then I'll take a poll later on in the week for next Wednesday, and then I can cover that topic. We can get deep dive into something super specific or go into even something more general than the recent betting tips and tricks videos have been. Thanks again for all your support. It really means a lot. If you want to check out episode 3 when we talked about how to research and find good winning bets, should be popping up on the screen right now. Thanks again. This has been Austin, and I will catch you guys again next week, as well as in our daily player props and spreads NBA video. This has been Austin. Peace out.